Hello and welcome to Did You Pack Snacks? My name's Colin.
And I'm Meg.
And this is a family travel podcast where we talk all things high, low, and the long miles in between of traveling with kids.
Thanks so much for being here.
Seriously, especially to Cindy and her husband that we met at church this Sunday.
I know. Shout out. Thanks for watching. It's always the sweetest thing. We put this into the world for people to listen to it, right?
Yeah.
But then when somebody tells me that they listen to it, I'm surprised every time.
I'm always so surprised.
But it's the sweetest compliment.
My first reaction is why?
No, come on.
But then I'm like, I guess it's entertaining for some people, and that's what we hope that it is.
Right.
And then I'm filled with gratitude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very appreciative of all of you that tune in.
And as you can see, we are not in our luxurious studio apartment in Florida anymore.
Right. If you're watching on YouTube, we've got our panel wall back behind us. We're home in South Carolina.
AKA our guest bedroom.
Are you happy to be home?
Well, I was just going to say, it feels like the summer has ended.
Yeah.
Like, that was our last trip. It's now in the end of July. And a lot of folks, their kids are starting school again in might as well be 2 days. And I just feel like the summer it's gone.
Well, instead of saying, how was your week, which maybe it has to do with last week, but what was a summer highlight for you then?
Going to Florida with friends. That was incredibly fun and easy. It's all like, guys, if you can find friends that you can travel with, like that says so much about, how rich you are in life. The fact that you can go on, do something fun as a family with another family, with friends. I mean, we had just the most chill time, going to restaurants, playing at the beach, playing cards. I mean, I'm looking forward to, I think that's the only way it's my favorite way of traveling, is what I'm trying to say.
With other people.
With other people. So yeah, I think that was my summer highlight. What about you?
I would agree. Definitely being in a new place was a highlight. Love being at the beach. Got to read, got to play cards. It was a great time. But I think this summer as a whole has just been what we needed after, traveling full time for a year, then coming home and still trying to travel as much as possible. This summer was like the first break that we've taken where we can have these normal routines. I can go to the gym, we can hang out with friends, we can kind of have these standing things that we do like normal life. I just feel like we've missed out on that a little bit the last 2 years. So I've just really appreciated the slow rhythm overall that summer has brought about. Even though I am ready to get on a plane, so it's kind of like both and. Oh
yeah, I'm so ready to get on a plane. But what you just said is actually what we're talking about today. And that's traveling full time versus kind of what we're doing, which is traveling part time. And the pros and cons to each of those ways of traveling. We talked the good, the bad, the hard, and the fun.
The tears,
the surgery, the hospital visits.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, all that's coming. But before we jump into all that, let's talk travel news.
Yeah, we haven't talked travel news in a while. So let's see what's on the dock. You go first.
Okay. I just want to put a hot take. Okay. Man, this podcast is all about hot takes.
We just have opinions. I think hot takes are just opinions.
Right.
And when you put an opinion on the internet, you know that someone's going to disagree with you. Therefore, it's a hot take.
Yeah. Well, here goes mine.
Okay.
I think, and I think a lot of people are with me on this, that Saudi Arabia is going to be one of the hottest destinations in the next few years. Do you know why? Ask me why.
Why?
Because the government of Saudi Arabia have for so long relied on money from oil, right? And so the people that are already in it now, they're thinking ahead. They're like, eventually this is going to run out. And so Saudi Arabia needs to be on the map for something else. And they have decided by 2030 that Saudi Arabia is going to be the number one place to be in the whole world. They are building new cities like The Line, and even today they promoted a new mountain destination. And even let me tell you just about The Line. imagine you're in the deserts of Saudi Arabia.
Right.
And there is a city that is not your traditional city that kind of sprawls out like a spider web. This is one straight line, and there are mirrors on both sides. And so it is, their hope is that it's, totally eco-friendly, that it didn't interrupt the original landscape. But this city is, I don't know dimensions, but it's tall and long, and you can
like
get from
in a literal line.
like a line, and you can get from point A to point B in like 20 minutes on a high-speed train. So in your neighborhood, in your section of the line, you have your own school, your grocery stores, your mall, da 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 da. So like it's all like segmented into
Which
this
is
line.
kind of mind-blowing to think about building a new city from scratch. I don't know why. I would just imagine that the cities that exist are the cities that will continue to exist. Like the fact that they're building a new city in this new concept from the ground up is a little wild.
It's wild. They have their own beach destinations. They have their own, when you think of places like the pyramids or the place in Jordan, what is it called? Petra?
Yes.
They have their own.
Like they made their own?
No.
Oh.
It's been there. But Saudi Arabia is just, hasn't been as open as all the other countries like before. But now they're realizing that, hey, we got all this stuff too. And so if you just go online and you look up the name of the company that's developing all this is Neom, Neom. Look it up and give me a virtual high five. And see you in Saudi Arabia. What you got, Megan?
That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Well, I have another destination. Our travel news maybe is just about destinations.
Okay.
But we booked like a little bucket list thing.
Yes.
Our fall's really busy, but we threw another trip in there because we're ready. We've been home all summer.
Right.
But we booked tickets to Vermont.
Right.
For like the peak of fall.
Yeah. But by Vermont, we mean we booked really cheap flights to Boston. Yeah. And we're going to drive to Vermont.
Right. How much were our flights? Do you remember?
They were $56 to begin with.
Plus, you have to add your baggage.
Once we added baggage and seats and all that stuff, it came up to about $100 per person.
Right. So then we figured that we'd rent a rental car from Boston and we'd, maybe we'll stop in some other places. We honestly haven't booked any accommodations. So if you have any tips or ideas, or you've done a trip like this in the fall, let us know. Leave a comment, send us a message. We'd love to hear. But our goal is to just experience the fall foliage that is a New England fall.
Right. We are trying to get to Stowe, Lake Willoughby. I don't know if Burlington might be in there. But also, we're passing by a lot of cool towns from Boston to Vermont.
Right.
So if you guys, all you New Englanders there, if you have any recommendations, please tell us.
These are my goals, so you can help me achieve this.
Okay.
I want to see just like endless fall foliage. And we're there when the internet predicts there will be the best fall foliage,
right.
But
the first week of October.
Right.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll catch the end or the beginning or the middle. I'm flexible. We can't predict nature.
Okay.
But other things that I do want to predict.
Okay.
I am going to have pre-trip expenses that allow me to buy a really cute crew neck sweatshirt that says like Stowe, Vermont or something.
Oh,
and
like a souvenir.
Yeah. And I'm going to wear it when I'm there.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Then I also just want some really charming small towns with really cute coffee shops.
Okay.
I just want to wander in
Yeah.
in my crew neck hoodie, maybe with my hat.
Yeah.
My beanie, of course.
Yeah.
And I just want to sit in a little, if anybody out there used to watch Gilmore Girls like me. I mean, I visited New England before. I love everything about it.
Your family's from there.
Right. My dad's from Massachusetts. We spent a lot of summers and time just up on the coast.
Shout out to Situate, Maria Subs. I miss you.
But I've never been to Vermont. And so this is new. And I don't know. I want to go to charming, quaint towns as featured in Gilmore Girls. That vibe is the vibe that I'd really like to achieve on this trip.
Right. For me, I think I want like nights to end with the smell of a bonfire.
Oh, that's nice.
And a warm beverage. I think, surrounded by falling leaves. Golly.
Apple cider.
Apple cider.
Sounds good. What else could you eat? What, like soups? Oh, Clam chowder.
The best pies. Come on.
All right, this is
I
gonna
am
be
a
a
pie
dream.
over cake. Are you a cake or pie person?
I think I would choose pie every time.
Hey, wow, way to go.
It's great getting to know you, babe.
Wow.
Wait, but actually, let's go deeper.
What?
What's your favorite kind of pie? Because I actually remember I messed this up once.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
your birthday,
Yes.
and I surprised you with an apple pie.
Which is, I love all pies but apple pie.
Right, and you were like, thanks.
Yeah. I love all
Because
the berries.
we never specified that there was a limit to your liking.
Right,
You know, you said
right.
pie. I was like, apple pie. Your birthday's in October. This
Yeah.
just felt like the right thing to get you.
Yeah.
And then you were like, I don't really like apple pie.
No, I love pumpkin pies and berry pies, and I would not mind a chicken pot pie. That's not a pie, but I love chicken pot pies.
You know what kind of pie I love?
We've said pie a lot. What kind of pie do you like?
I love key lime pie.
Oh,
That's like, which
That's pretty good,
I
too.
would say after key lime pie is a strong like berry pie, rhubarb pie.
ooh, rhubarb pie.
Those ones are great. But if I had to just pick one,
If you had
key-
one pie, which pie would you go with?
I would always choose key lime pie.
Key lime. All right.
The pie count is pretty high right now.
I do have a little fascination with the Key West area. That might be a great place to go try out some key lime pies.
I don't think it has any connection.
Yes, it does.
Are you sure?
Yes, the Key West key lime pie.
That's not how it works. I mean,
I
you might be
watched-
right.
I watched an episode on CNBC one time.
Okay.
There was this place in the down south where they made great key lime pies.
And it was in Key West, Florida.
It was in that area.
We're gonna have to. We're not educating anyone here.
Right.
This is to be determined.
Okay, well, if anyone from Vermont knows where to get the best pies, let us know. We'll be there, and heck, I might even buy you one and mail it to you if it's that good. Last but not least, I got one more thing on travel news. Then we can jump into the episode.
Let's do it.
I got a new credit card.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you'd be like bummed about it, but okay, great. Well, I got this new credit card. It's the American Express Hilton card, and it has no annual fees. So if you don't own a credit card and you kind of want to jump into this, this is an okay one to get into. There are better ones out there.
Well, what would be the best in your opinion?
The best, for me, I am a Capital One fan. You can go with the Venture or the Venture X. We have the Venture X. It gives us lounge access, and it gives you hotel credits, travel credits. So it literally pays for itself. And every time I spend $1, I get 2 points back, 2 miles back. And I can transfer them to anywhere. Anyway.
So why did you get this one?
Okay, this is card number I'm afraid to even say.
Don't say it.
I do not even keep count, but I have everything organized. Don't worry. But I got this one because it's a 0 annual fee, and all the other American Express Hilton cards come with the infamous free night reward, meaning one can book a night at the Conrad St. Regis in Maldives that goes for $1,500. But because you own the card, it's free.
You get one night for free.
Right.
Per year or like ever?
Ooh, good question.
Good question.
Even if it's the first time only, it's a 0 annual fee card,
Right. And you get a $1,500 one night stay at a really nice
basically.
hotel.
Yeah, I do have to spend $1,000 on this credit card in the first 3 months.
Easy. One trip to Target.
Better not be.
I'm kidding.
But after that, a couple weeks later, more like 3 months, because they want to make sure you have the card, they will say, congratulations, you have your free night. And we, my friend, are going to use our free night either on our Bali trip. There's the Conrad Bali, which is one of the more luxury brands that Hilton has. Either the Conrad Bali or somewhere in Hong Kong or the one in Manhattan. So,
Ooh.
and those go for like, they can go up to $700 a night.
Okay. You know what's fun about staying at a luxury place when you typically don't? Is we're going to get there as early as possible.
I'm getting there 9.
9 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. You can't check in yet. That's fine.
That's okay.
Can I just like give you my bag?
I just want to leave my stuff.
We're just going to walk the property.
Yeah.
We might grab some coffee.
Yeah.
Might let the kids jump in the pool.
Right.
Check in it to the next morning. Hey, excuse me, reception. Could we have a late checkout?
Yep.
Ma'am, of course. You can check out 11 a.m. Great. 11 a.m., not a minute sooner.
Uh-huh.
You drop your bags at the front desk. We're just going to stick around for lunch. No problem.
Right.
You get basically 48 hours out of that deal.
That's what we did to the Aulani.
Oh, and when we were in Oahu,
In Oahu, yeah.
That's what we did to Aulani when we were staying with the kids at the Disney Resort. Is we
Gosh.
got there really early, we left really late, and we basically got 2 full days at their water
Right.
park, but we only spent 1 night there.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever change. I think we'll be these kind of people. We're those people.
What does that mean?
Like, even if we somehow became millionaires one day, I think I would still be as cheap as we are.
We know no other way. Right. Well, at this point, we have no other choice.
Yeah. So that's the travel news. If you want to sign up for this credit card, if you already have a few and that's working for you, and this is more like keep in your back pocket for a free, luxurious night in case you're traveling somewhere nice, like New York or Bali. This is a good one.
This would be a great card to sign up for if you're like planning an anniversary or something within the next year, because you can use this stateside.
Yeah.
So if you're planning an anniversary and you're going to be gone for a night or two, why not stay somewhere really nice?
Right. And I'm just going to say this, before you do all this, the promotion does end soon for the free night award. This card doesn't normally come with it.
I see.
Yeah,
well, we're going to leave the link in the show notes. If you have any questions, you can follow up with Colin, but click the link down below if you want to check it out for yourself.
And call him, chat on the phone, apply for the card, do your thing, but make sure you read the fine print. All right. Here we go. Are we ready for this?
We're ready. What are we ready for?
The episode.
Oh, yes.
We've done a lot of chit-chatting. Now it's time to get to the entree of this. And I just want to give a kind of overall context to what we're talking about today.
All right.
Because if you've known us in the last year, we travel, but we don't travel full-time.
Right.
However, if you've known us from before, specifically 2021, we began our full-time traveling journey where we traveled for a whole year. We were gone for 344 days and we visited 15 countries in that time. It
was a long stint. And there were some pros and there are some cons. There are some things that we learned. And we thought that this would be a relevant thing to talk about because we've been back now stateside, removed from that full year of travel for a year now.
Yeah.
So we've learned a lot of things about what life looks like now that we've continued to incorporate travel into our life. And we can kind of compare the different seasons having experienced both.
Yeah. And a little disclaimer too, 3 months into our traveling full time, we decided to create content and be creators, like intentionally. And so I think that plays into a lot of the emotions and struggles that we went through. But if you're just looking to travel and, not be bogged down by documenting a lot of things, I think it could actually be more sustainable, which we'll talk more about.
Sure. And this is for anyone that's maybe just interested in doing a gap year. Or a gap year one day. Maybe that means you're taking 6 months off to work remotely. You're taking a year off. It doesn't have to be an indefinite amount of time. It could just be a long stint of travel that you'd like to incorporate into your life in some capacity.
Let me ask you one question.
Sure.
Would you ever do a gap year again?
Maybe when the girls are older, like middle or high school season, I think I would do it again.
Wow. I love you.
Okay, so talking about our year of travel, I think we should start with the parts that were really great, what we loved about it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and kick off number 1.
Go ahead.
So when we got home, the number 1 question that people would ask us is, what was our favorite part about the year?
Favorite place.
And most of the time, they're referring to the favorite destination that we visited. And while we loved so many places that we got to see, an unexpected thing that we felt during that year was that we just loved being together. So a part about traveling full time is you're removed from a lot. You're removed from your community, your school system, your family. I mean, we saw just a handful of people that entire year outside of the 4 of us as a family. And there were some parts of that were challenging. We long for community. We love having friends. But a part of it that was really wonderful is that we came back and we just fell in love with our little family unit. And that's not to say that we didn't love our kids before, but that But that time together without any distractions is so rare because in a normal life, in typical everyday life, you have places to be. People have to be dropped off. There are a lot of activities to attend to. But we had a year of just like together time.
Right.
And I loved it.
And yeah, to Megan's point, our kids were 2 and 4 when we left. Now they're 6 and 4. They're just crazy. But they were 2 and 4, and being able to see them develop as humans and, see the world through kids' eyes and, the way they were introduced to different cultures, different foods, different animals. That was just so much fun. And I think we had so many highs, lows. We even got sick together.
Yeah.
We even, spent a lot of times cooped up in an apartment together, long travel days, but then also times when we would wander the streets of, these beautiful cities, or we would be in a boat or on a train ride, and to just look outside the window together as a family, it just bonds you.
Well, a friend of mine told me once that the 2 ways that you can deepen relationships with someone else is time, spending a lot of time together, or going through some kind of tragedy together. And that, I think, is just a summary of what that full-time travel year meant to me. We spent so much time with our kids. And so that just deepened our relationship with them through all of those shared experiences, through all of the days together, the good and the hard. It wasn't that it was some magical experience where we never fought or we never got frustrated. Mm-hmm. It's just the amount of time was such a privilege and such a gift. And that was probably my favorite part.
So the other part about full-time travel that we love is that, yes, we did get to see 15 countries. We would be in Thailand and be like, hey, you want to go to Cambodia for the weekend? Let's go. And let's just go collect these passport stamps. Let's go, see all the places, eat all the food. And you get to kind of just do it in this vacuum. Like, let's see as much as we can because we're already on a gap year,
Another benefit of doing a gap year is while you have to budget a lot of money up front, you get to hop around to all these different places that are close by. So instead of spending $4,000 to spend 2 weeks in Italy, you get to go to Italy, and then you're like, whoa, it only costs 50 euros to hop a train to Spain. And you get to kind of, crisscross your way around the globe. Right. And that was just such a unique experience that we had this stint of time that we were able to look at the map literally and go, man, where do you want to go next? And we didn't have to consider coming back and forth from South Carolina to a new destination, but we kind of got to cram all of these experiences into a condensed amount of time.
Yeah.
And I think we'll always treasure that year because it was so unique, so much fun. And
you know what a dream would be?
What?
If we did something like that and did like the Europe train year where we just knocked off all the EU countries.
That would be cool.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Maybe when they're in high school.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get down to the nitty gritty of what was really hard about leaving for a year.
Okay. I think for me, the number one thing was places started to kind of just feel the same, kind of bland, and it kind of loses its luster. Like you're in a country and like, okay, what's the number one thing to do in this city? Oh, okay. It's this museum. All right, well, I kind of went to a museum like that, 2 months ago. What's something different? And you can kind of lose that excitement when you travel a lot,
Yeah, totally. I think for me too, it was that when we would go to these new places, I felt a lot of pressure. I felt a lot of pressure to arrive there and to achieve in the same way that when you're planning a typical summer vacation, you're thinking about, what can I do? I'm going to go to the Grand Canyon. I want to do everything there is to do in the Grand Canyon. Mm-hmm. We felt that, and it almost felt like fatigue because it was back to back to back to back. So every time we arrived in a new place, we were learning how to get around. We were learning where to get groceries.
Which takes about a week.
Right. And then we don't want to miss out. There's some FOMO. Like, what does everybody do here that is so awesome that I can't miss? And putting that pressure on ourselves, I think towards the end of the year, we let go of that a lot.
Right.
Because we started to feel that fatigue and we were like, wait, none of that matters if we're not having a good time.
Yeah. I remember sitting in our apartment and just looking outside the window and going, there's so much out there and my spirit is sort of willing, but my body is definitely not. And my brain is definitely tired.
Right. And it was a challenge navigating all of those things with 2 kids, you know?
Yeah.
They had adjustment periods and they just wanted to go play. There were a lot of things that they weren't interested in doing. And so we had to take into account what would make their experience of this new place great too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing that was hard would be the lack of community.
Oh, that was a hard one.
That was a hard one.
And community is something that you don't get overnight. You don't build friendships, after, going to get dinner with them one time. So just as slow and long it takes to build community, it also can be it can also just kind of go under the radar and you go, I'm doing fine, until you 3 months later and you go, man, I feel really lonely.
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of compartmentalized that part of my life because I knew, hey, we committed to do this for a year. And so I kind of just blocked it out. I was like, there are these people that I love. I'm going to touch base with them as often as I can. But the reality is our life is so different right now. I just kind of have to be present where I am with Colin, with the girls, and that will come back eventually, right? But towards the end of that year, I remember just feeling as the finish line got closer and closer, that loneliness crept in more and more, maybe just because I allowed myself to feel it. And when we got home, I was so ready to be home. Like there wasn't a part of me that was like, I want to do this indefinitely forever. There was a huge part of me that felt, man, I have something missing in my life and I need to kind of root myself a little in order to meet that in my heart, in my life, in my soul.
Right. And disclaimer too, the way we were traveling is we were trying to go visit, a place each month. Each month we were going to find a home base in a different city. I think there are a lot of families out there that know this about themselves and they say, we're just going to go to Guatemala for 3 months. And that is their full-time travel. And it's like, depending on your goals and objectives, like I think we had set ourselves up to, having to readjust, connect, disconnect, a lot because of the way we were traveling.
Yeah, I think if I were to do it again, maybe later in life, I definitely think that I'd be open to staying places for like a 3-month stint and maybe fully experiencing a country for that long, developing routines, actually feeling rooted, maybe developing some friendships.
Yeah.
Because we'd meet people in these places that we visited, but we were just like ships in the night. We were coming, they were leaving, and it made it really challenging to build deep relationships.
Yeah, because, a month, I would say a month in a place is short and long. It sounds long, but it's actually not that long. I remember when I was a college student and I would go home to Malaysia for a month. The first 2 weeks was just culture shock to just come back and like learn how to, speak again, order food again. And I was like, oh yeah, I got this. I am Malaysian. And then week 3, you're like, oh, I love being home. But then week 4, you're like, oh man, I got to go back to the States. And then you start building these walls up. And so a month is just a very tricky time,
Yeah, another thing that I would say contributed to that feeling of loneliness is these moments that were just hard. So, we were traveling at the end of what I would say is the season of COVID. We started traveling at the end of 2021. There were definitely some moments when the news would pop up and it felt like the world was going to shut down again and we just didn't know. And that felt really lonely and isolating because we were far away from everyone.
Yeah.
And we didn't feel I felt safe where I was, but I didn't feel like I was in a community where I could process these feelings. And then, we got sick a couple times. So we got sick overseas. Charlotte was hospitalized with pneumonia in a small town in Vietnam. And all of these moments while we
Don't worry, it was a great hospital.
Are you?
And I'm serious.
It was a great hospital. Yeah. It was a little bit of culture shock. Like the doctor would come in smoking a cigarette and he'd have like flip-flops on. But he was a great doctor.
I mean, he prescribed everything that our American pediatrician would.
Yeah, we were confirming what was happening back in the States just to make sure she was getting what she needed.
Yeah.
And We felt safe. Charlotte was in great care, but the feelings and emotions of having one of your kids in the hospital and not being able to be in a community when that's happening, that felt lonely.
Yeah.
So I think it was just the duration of time met with a few of these experiences. By the time the year was over, it was like, that was an incredible chapter. Let's think about what the next chapter can look like, having learned everything that we just did from the past year, and think of a way that this could better suit our family. And the reason we wanted to keep traveling is because we love it. We love time with our kids. We love being able to show them the world and share these experiences together. And like Colin said, we had started making a business out of creating content for different companies and businesses. So we wanted to continue to pursue that. But we got home and we knew that some things needed to change.
Right. No, and yeah, and we're talking a lot about community because I think this was the biggest felt absence that we had in our lives. But you know, a year after coming back from our travels into South Carolina, I think it took a whole year for all our friendships back home to kind of feel normal again.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I'll add is like, that was an unexpected thing. I feel like we're projecting a lot, and if you're planning a gap year,
don't worry, we're going to encourage you still.
Yeah, well, I hope this is encouraging that, you know, It was the best year with our kids. We had so many experiences. We made memories that we still talk about almost daily with our kids when they reference different things that we did together. But the reality is when we got back, it was hard. You know, we had been gone for an entire year, and I'm actually really proud of the way that Colin and I have gone through this year and the ups and downs and really figured out, okay, where do we want to invest? What do these friendships mean to us? Figuring out how to wade through that almost cultural shock of being gone and absent for that amount of time, which is a long stint.
Yeah.
Then coming back, we had this initially, I remember our first 2 weeks back, I'd walk into Target, my heart would be racing.
Why?
I don't know. I just think it was familiar but different. And then, you know, I remember I went to a wine night once with a bunch of people, close friends and acquaintances, and I felt overwhelmed because I couldn't remember the last time that I made small talk with a bunch of women because we just weren't around a lot of people.
Right.
It was strange, but I feel like culture shock, even though we were only gone a year, did kind of come up a little bit. But we spent the last 11 or 12 months doing all the things. When I say doing all the things, thinking about how are we going to make our bodies healthy? We're going to eat this way. We're going to move our bodies. We're going to read these books that are challenging to us. We're going to find ways to get involved in our community. We're going to pursue our friends and make that friendship have a strong foundation again. And it makes me teary to say all of that. Because it was really hard. It was I remember coming back and I thought, man, there's a sacrifice to this.
Right.
You know, in the same way that when you move from one community to a new community and you're starting over, in some ways, even though we came back, it kind of felt we were not starting over, but it was a restart. And it took a lot of intentionality, took a lot of work, not only for our friendships, you know, but just for us to be healthy people. Because we got back and we were tired. Our bodies were tired.
And the biggest thing for me was we were so insecure.
Right.
Because you come back and people have lived a year of their lives without you. And you're wondering, well, am I even valuable? Do you even still need me as a friend? I know we got history, but do you need me now?
Yeah, and nobody was saying that. That's
right.
Just the way that we felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a lot all at once. You got back and it was wow, this overwhelm of feelings. But I think all of that to say, I feel really proud of us because I feel like we've spent the last year navigating how to do the thing that we love, thrive in our family, thrive in our community, and thrive in our physical bodies and figure out how to just be whole, healthy people. And not that we've achieved it 100%, but we're those are where our goals have been, where our eyes have been set.
Yeah.
Those are the goals that we've had.
So what can we say to those families that are planning to do this gap year? Flights are booked. Airbnbs are booked. They know what they're doing. And what can we kind of just encourage them with as far as their relationships go?
I would say that, if you have a handful of people that you're connected to, maybe get them to come visit you when you're out on the road, wherever you're going, invite people to meet you there, have shared experiences, to remember that even though you're living this like exciting day-to-day life, that it's still really important for you to find ways to connect to people that are living their normal daily life. And maybe, that means phone calls or FaceTime or, any effort that you make to like stay connected to the people that mean something to you is only going to benefit you in the long run. And at the end of the day, even if you come back and it takes a few months for things to feel normal again, we're the first to say that, it was worth it. We got back and maybe we're a little surprised at how hard it was because we'd never done this before. But a year out, I would say that it was worth it. I wouldn't change our year of traveling the world with the girls for anything.
Yeah. Okay, so coming out of that year, how have we adjusted? What are some things that we kind of pivoted to, because we still love travel.
We still love it.
We came back from all that and all battling all the insecurity, still going, but we still love this, and we want to make this work. So how are we in the process of making it work?
Right. So a lot of things that maybe you've already heard if you've listened to previous podcasts. Colin works remotely. Our girls are homeschooled. We're a part of a local co-op. Those two things are huge factors in being able to travel throughout the year when a flight deal comes our way. So I would say that those are the precursors to how we've kind of set up the structure of our life to make it happen. And then in addition to that, we've just kind of figured out, okay, if we're going to be gone for 2 weeks here, then let's stay home for the next 6 to 8 weeks so that we can kind of fall back into that rhythm, so that we can be around to grab dinner with our friends. And then we're going to be gone this month because everyone's always busy during the holidays. Even though we're gone for 25 days, they probably won't miss us. So kind of we've just learned how long to be gone, how long feels too long. So I would say that's kind of a start that we figured out this year, is just what feels right in leaving and also wanting to be invested at home.
Yeah. And then when we are home, we do the things that everybody else does. And, we got, whether it's a gym membership or whatever, we got the YMCA membership. So we go to the YMCA with our friends. We go there, we see the people that make up our town. We have all the chit chats and all that stuff, and we work out together, play together. And then we were fortunate enough to be plugged into a new church when we came back. And that's also been like a huge breath of fresh air for us. Just, seeing, people welcome us with open arms. And so that was another game changer. I kind of want to go back to what you said about a homeschool co-op, because, we found a lot of love in that community too, because, we see so many other parents that are trying to do the same thing, are wanting to be flexible and spend more time with their kids. And so, we're finding a lot of places when we are home to find people that we can connect with.
And another thing that we mentioned, that value of being together that we felt like was our biggest takeaway from our full year of travel. And so during and structuring our daily life, we're trying to avoid being involved in all the things so that we have flexibility to show up to the things that are really important to us, and that we also have a lot of time together still. And I think that plays a huge part in it too, because it would be really hard to be involved in a million things and then pick up and leave for 2 weeks to go on a trip and then come back home and feel like all of our life was busy. So we've kind of structured our life in a way that we say no to a lot of things.
Right.
We say yes to the things that are really important that all of us can do together. And most of that involves friendships or being around people that we love. And the rest of our time at home is really chill. Most of our nights are free, most of our days are free, and that's just because when we're planning out this part-time travel situation, when we're gone, it's busy, it's fun, the days are long, and then we come home and it feels really restful. And that balance, I think, has been really good for us and made this year feel like we have the endurance to look ahead and be like, we want to keep doing this. Where when we traveled for a full year nonstop, we were barely crossing the finish line because we were exhausted by the end.
Yeah.
So I think that rhythm of a slower pace at home, go on a trip and then come back home to that slower pace has really benefited our family.
So what's the future for Colin and Meg?
The future for us would be that rhythm. We're gonna relax. We're gonna enjoy the slow pace, and then we're gonna get on a plane and kick it into high gear. Repeat times 1,000.
Yeah, and I think we learned a lot this year too. That like it's okay to have seasons. Like our summer was so slow. You know, I don't even know how to book an airplane ticket anymore. But then I know that in the fall we're gonna kick it to high gear.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of like that. You know, there's anticipation. Like I'm excited to do all the things that we're gonna do in the fall.
And I think it's just realizing that we can build the life and hold the values that we have for our family, and we get to kind of determine what that looks like. And then when it's not working, we get to pivot. And so I don't know, just a maybe encouragement for anyone who's listening or watching that you're feeling like, man, maybe I don't want to travel full time, but I do want to incorporate long weekends more. I want to go camping with my kids. I want to incorporate, vacations, not just during the summer. I want to be able to go stay with family up north or family in California for a week in the middle of the school year. And how can that happen?
Yeah.
Like just really being able to look at the dynamic of your family, seeing the things that you love and how you can thrive together, and making your decisions on how your family is going to function and live based off of your values. And that's ultimately what our goal this past year has been, is we want to be healthy, we want to be thriving as a family, and we want to be making memories together.
Yeah. Let's end on this. What would your one thing of advice? We're going to do it for all the categories of families with their different capacities of travel. But for the full-time traveling family out there, what's one thing that could be helpful for them? I got one.
Okay.
You can still go on vacation on your trip.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Like, even if it's for 2 nights at a resort somewhere, if you're staying somewhere cheap, like, I don't know, Hanoi, Vietnam, you can still go to like a resort on the coast and just go for 2 days where you do nothing.
Yeah, you don't have to think about where to eat dinner, what grab you're going to order to get food.
Yeah.
You're just making no decisions. You're eating from the buffet and relaxing by the pool.
You can take a vacation on your trip. So what would you say to someone kind of like us then, that's kind of doing the part-time traveling thing or just loves travel?
I would say to find meaning in both seasons of your life. So love when you're home. Find out how to be in love with your community and love when you walk in your front door. And then also to create meaningful experiences for you and your family when you're traveling overseas. But if you love both, I think that your family can really thrive.
Yeah. And what would you say to all the moms and dads out there that love travel, that are an advocate for travel, but they can't do it as much, either due to a job or family reasons? What would you say to those fams?
I would say that you can really get creative in those similar experiences. Maybe it's not a week in Costa Rica, but maybe it's a long weekend over a holiday weekend in a new national park. Or I don't know. I think that there are so many things to experience that is really the essence and the heart behind travel, is getting to experience something new together and like kind of being in awe of it. And there are a lot of things around us that can be new experiences, whether it be camping or kayaking or I don't know. There are so many things. So I would just say to that person that just to take advantage of the opportunities that you have to experience new things as a family where you live.
I have a buddy that, he doesn't have, he can't travel as much. He has limited PTOs and sick days, right? So what he did was he bought a used pop-up camper, and they've been taking long weekends and doing the simple things, because travel is travel. Whether you're going to, the other side of the world or you're going to a local state park, like you said, you still get to be away with your kids, and maybe they have never roasted their own marshmallow before.
Yeah.
Maybe they have never stayed up past 10 o'clock to see the stars in the sky before. And that is still just as memorable, right? So either way, travel can be still special, in so many ways.
Yeah, just embrace your season.
Yeah. Sorry I made you cry today.
It's okay. When you were just saying have your kids ever seen the stars? I was just remembering that one time we had a pop-up camper for a really short season, but we ended up on top of a mountain once with the pop-up camper. We popped the tire on the way up, but anyway, we made it to
on the way down.
We made it to the top, and I do remember, like, when you were talking, just like falling asleep with the girls. You had one, I had one on each side of the camper, and it was just like so sweet.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I do think that travel can come in a lot of forms, and if you love it, you can figure out ways to incorporate those experiences into your year.
Yeah.
Man.
That's another reason why I love travel, and I know the kids love travel. It's because they get to sleep with us instead of their own beds.
Yeah, they think it's the coolest thing.
It's a sleepover.
It's a sleepover every time we go somewhere new.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for the future episodes. I think this has been, I had fun talking about this. But as we are going into the fall, there's going to be a lot of exciting stuff that we can talk about. So I hope you stay tuned. Look out for more episodes every Wednesday, 5 a.m. This has been another episode of Did You Pack Snacks? We'll see ya.
Bye.